Jeffrey Epstein. Where are the videotapes from his home in New Mexico, from his Caribbean island, from his place on Fifth Avenue? There are all these videotapes now, in federal hands. Why can't we see those? And we can't see them, of course, because there's like a massive blackmail operation run by various intel agencies designed to put famous people under the control of governments. I mean, of course, that's what it was, obviously, and everyone knows that, but no one can say anything about it.
So what's really going on with the botched Epstein files release? It's now just over 3 hours after 8 a.m. on the East Coast, which was the deadline for the FBI to hand over all their Epstein files to Attorney General Pam Bondi. What's really going on here? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get to the bottom of.
First, obviously, our nation and our world are going through an intense period of change. How we see and understand this change is largely shaped by the news we consume, with countless agendas competing for our attention. It's more important than ever to have the right tools to uncover bias, break free from big tech algorithms, and escape echo chambers. This is precisely why I use Ground News. It's a website and app that gathers stories from over 50,000 news sources worldwide, letting you compare coverage across the political spectrum and highlighting stories one side might be ignoring. See for yourself at ground.news/Steve. My favorite feature, Ground News, is the blind spot feed. It shows you stories that are disproportionately reported by either the left or the right. I find it really helpful for gaining a balanced perspective in our hyper-polarized world. So, for example, here's a story that's mostly ignored by left-leaning outlets. Border czar Tom Homan suggests AOC could face investigation over migrant tips. Now, here's a recent story that has no coverage on the right. Trump administration fires thousands of U.S. Forest and National Park Service workers. So for both of these, and for every story, Ground News gives you a breakdown of the sources covering it, the bias of the media outlets reporting across the left, center, and right, how reliable these sources have been in the past, and who owns them. I mean, it's the kind of news analysis you won't find anywhere else. Right now, my viewers can get 40% off the Unlimited Access Vantage plan, which is the same plan I have. Make sure you subscribe using my link at ground.news/Steve. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code when signing up. That's ground.news/Steve.
As many of you know, the FBI office in New York is reportedly withholding thousands of pages of documents pertaining to the federal government's investigation into one Jeffrey Epstein. In a letter addressed to FBI Director Kash Patel, Attorney General Pam Bondi said that she initially requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein before Patel was sworn in last Friday. In response, the agency reportedly forfeited approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted of nothing more than a bunch of flight logs and Epstein's list of contacts, basically a flight and phone Rolodex when all said and done. Bondi reportedly repeatedly questioned the FBI about whether that batch of 200 pages, now that's key, hold on to that, 200 pages was the full set of documents responsive to her inquiry. And according to Bondi, she was repeatedly assured by the FBI that, yep, that's it, 200 pages, that's it, that's the full set of docs. We all know, if you've been following this for any length of time, we all know that is patently absurd on its face. In June of 2019, FBI agents raided Epstein's townhouse in New York City and found safes with a treasure trove of computer hard drives, video. Why do you keep a computer in a safe? Why do you keep videos in the safe? Why do you keep tapes and iPads and laptops in the safe? What was on them where they needed to be secured? And where are they now? Have they been transcribed? I assure you, if they've been transcribed, just like Hunter Biden's laptop, it would have been tens of thousands of pages. So this was patently absurd on its face. Well, Pam seemed to play along with that. And then, after the big dud reveal yesterday, She then claimed that a whistleblower from within the FBI informed her that the FBI field office in the Southern District of New York was indeed in possession of thousands upon thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. And that, and then she claimed, Pam Bondi claimed, that despite her repeated requests, the FBI has refused to disclose and hand over those files. Now, the fact that we're dealing with alleged shenanigans coming out of the FBI's New York field office, in fairness to Pam Bondi, is hardly surprising. Now, if you didn't know, according to a report by the Federalist, the FBI's New York field office boasts quite the track record of engaging in frankly corrupt and seedy behavior. Specifically, if you didn't know this, the office took an active part at the very beginning of the Obama administration's Trump-Russia collusion hoax. Now, this has been documented in the Durham report. It details how the FBI New York field office was instrumental in opening an investigation into then Trump's campaign official, Carter Page. So this was during the 2016 campaign. The report noted how in April of 2016, shortly after Page was named as the advisor to the Trump campaign, this New York field office opened a counterintelligence investigation of him. Now, as the Federalist's own Tristan Justice reported, the investigation to Carter Page that originated in the New York field office then ended up getting moved to the FBI headquarters under the direction of then FBI Director James Comey, who then pushed for the fraudulent fake dossier compiled by the British agent Christopher Steele to be used to get a FISA warrant to spy on Trump himself. Apparently, according to this investigation by the Federalists, that Russia collusion hoax spying operation all started in this FBI field office in New York, the very field office that appears to be playing shenanigans with the Epstein files. Moreover, to make things even worse, I mentioned James Comey, right? Well, Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, who happens to be a rabid anti-Trumper, was the lead prosecutor at the Southern District of New York's Epstein trial. So as you can see, this field office is rather rife with unseemly characters. Now, that's basically where we are right now. Pam Bondi sent the letter to Kash Patel telling him to do a full investigation into what's been going on, and she gave an 8 a.m. deadline to produce all those thousands of documents for her office. A lot of it doesn't make sense because obviously Pam Bondi knew there was a lot more than 200 pages. She obviously knew that. Just the court cases alone on Epstein that were tried, that put him behind bars. The court cases alone were thousands upon thousands of pages of evidence and data, which we're actually going to get into. We have a little bit of that to show you in case you did not know it. So I think as we're trying to make sense of all of this, I think we need to start with our perception of what's happening here. I think we need to start there and then drill down, hopefully, to what's actually happening. And that's what I want to leave you with at the end. I think there are at least two dynamics that are operative here with this latest chapter in the Epstein saga that more or less define our perception of things. First and foremost, there is something that you may not know of, but it'll make total sense. There is something called the Caligula effect. And I think all the actors involved here are in some way infected with this. And this is what I think most of us are kind of enraptured with the Epstein saga. This is what we're drawn to because we're recognizing that this Caligula effect has taken over our permanent political class. The Caligula effect is named after the first century Roman emperor Caligula, who reigned from 37 AD to his assassination, until assassination, 41 AD. He was infamous for his utterly perverse and narcissistic behavior. But the key with the Caligula effect is that among our elite, immoral, perverse behavior is actually a status symbol. You have to kind of get that to understand Epstein and all the people that he drew into his inner web at least at one level. It's this Caligula effect. It involves just the complete loss of moral constraint when one feels like they've achieved absolute power and a total lack of any accountability. So when individuals attain positions of extreme power around those who have, throwing off the moral constraints that normally bind everyday people is seen as a symbol, a sign that one has indeed made it, that one stands on top of society, that one is not just above the law, one is literally above God. One is above God's moral law. So just like a mansion or a fancy car is a symbol of power and wealth, right? A status symbol, so is immoral behavior, historically speaking. This is a phenomenon that repeats itself over and over again. This is not the first time we've seen this. Immoral behavior, seedy, perverse behavior can actually serve as a status symbol. I'm so big, I don't have to play by society's rules or heaven's rules. And of course, this involves a heavy dose of narcissism, where powerful individuals develop this exaggerated sense of self-worth and entitlement. Emperor Caligula declared himself a god and ordered the construction of a bridge between his palace and Jupiter's temple, for example. So there's clearly some malignant narcissism operative here. They certainly don't care about the people they abuse. But clearly, I think we're seeing something akin to this Caligula effect already with the revelation of the more than 100 national security agents across 15 agencies that were using a government chat platform to share explicitly lewd details of their LGBT lifestyles. Did you hear about this? I'm sure you're all now aware that the Biden administration was itself well aware of and continued, frankly, to allow highly sexualized chat rooms in our national security agencies for years. Nobody on Trump's administration stopped to think that this was a very real national security risk, that our enemies hacking into our systems could weaponize the sexually explicit information that these people were sharing on a public government platform, and that could be weaponized for nefarious purposes. But the key here is that the very fact that these 100+ security agents felt perfectly free to turn a government chat platform into what amounted to be an X-rated porn hub, with Biden officials perfectly fine with it, I think is an effect of this. It's an example of this Caligula effect. It functions as a status symbol of your power and your influence that stands above the masses and morality. Fortunately, they've all been fired. Tulsi has taken an axe to them, thank God. And this, to me, I think may be our first clue to why we got such a massive letdown from Pam Bondi. If we extend this Roman emperor motif to what happened for all of us, like, since, if you think it through, take a step back. Since January 20th, we've all felt like Marcus Aurelius. Okay, if you don't know, he was the great philosopher emperor. He was the champion of justice and the people, the Roman people. You see, he's the emperor. It's fictionalized, but he's the emperor in the movie Gladiator. Okay, so he's the emperor that's killed by his evil son, but he wants to return the empire to the people, right? So we've felt since January 20th that Marcus Aurelius, the great philosopher emperor, the champion of justice, has conquered DC, just like ancient Rome. All the bad guys are running away. All the Caligulas are freaking out and scurrying, right? We got Elon cleaning house. We got Tulsi cleaning house. It's all going great. What are we now, in our 40th day? Around 40th day of this administration? What are we in terms of wins? 40-0, right? 39-1, maybe? And that's, I think, what we're upset with yesterday. I think yesterday, many of us feel like that was our first big loss. We hit a snag. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, promises an Epstein bombshell reveal that would make what we learned about the security agency's chats look like kindergarten, only ending up to deliver the total dud that everyone who's been following the Epstein saga knew was a lie. They knew that those 200 pages were a total cover-up. That's not a Rolodex? A freaking Rolodex? Especially after Bondi told us there were all these names of the victims, and what I just saw was so sick, and I'm going to share it with all of you. It's so hard, but it's important that you all get that. And then we basically get the equivalent of a telephone book, a flight log that we frankly already knew about. So it appeared, I think, to everyone here that as far as the Justice Department, the FBI were concerned, the Caligulas were still in charge. I mean, we could hear about the Caligulas still there, like Tulsi told us about, and then she just wipes them out. Marcus Aurelius is conquering Rome, after all. But here we are. Literally 24 hours after we're told we're going to get all these Epstein files released to us. And it looks like the Caligulas are the ones that are in charge, not Marcus Aurelius. At least when it comes to the Department of Justice and the FBI, the Caligulas are still running the place.
By the way, click on the link in the description below to get all these articles and tweets I reference throughout my videos emailed to you each and every day. You're going to love it. We want you to have the best resources out there to convince your family and your friends of this new MAGA super age that's rising here.